Good evening, Concordia students. This is Dee Peterson, your adjunct instructor. Today is Sunday, March 12th, and we have just finished our first week of class. I've heard from a few of you. I hope that things are going well, and I hope that those of you that have contacted me have had your questions answered sufficiently to move forward. There's still a few unresolved issues, but we'll be working on those, and I will be getting back to you by email for those of you that still might have a couple of questions. I enjoyed reading your discussion board this week, getting to know you. I've responded to about half of you so far. I'll try and catch the next half of you next week. And I noticed that most of you are also taking the technology class, so you have your hands full. You're going to be very busy. We have a wide range of teaching assignments here in our class, so I think that you will have also a wide range of experiences to draw from within your group. On discussion board 2, I think most of you found Sir Kenneth Robinson was very interesting and stimulating and maybe a little bit challenging. His videos are always really good. He is talking about that idea of teaching students to learn from failure and to allow for and promote creativity while we're educating the whole child. So some of you might want to think about some of the issues that you wrote about this week might be something worth exploring in the week 3 collaborative project, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. I do want to remind you that your discussion board initial entries need to be made by Thursday night at 11:59. I still have a couple of you who have not put up your initial entries on the discussion boards, so those need to be done. You need to make sure that you're posting to the other students by tonight at 11:59. And when I go in to look at my records, I'm able to see how many entries you've made, and I score your entries accordingly. So make sure that you have 2 responses for each question each week. They don't have to be the same person. And next week I will begin to hold you accountable for those points. So please make sure that you do that. Some of you, we always have a little bit of trouble with Google Docs being uploaded. If you are sharing a Google Doc with me, please make sure that you share it. One of my big pet peeves is going in to grade these and then I can't access them. So please make sure that you've shared your Google Docs. Also make sure that you check your Eagles email, because if there are issues with the docs, I will email you via the Eagles email if I have an issue. So if you're not checking that, you're not going to know that I need to get in touch with you. So please make sure that you check those. Let's talk a little bit about the first assignments. I haven't finished grading them. In fact, I haven't really started grading them because they're not due until tonight. But I scanned through them to look for some common APA errors. And so let's talk about that a little bit. I hope that you're using the resource that is on the website, and you really must be using this book, this 6th edition of the APA manual. You can see mine's all full of stickers and marks, and I use it all the time. And that is where I will reference your errors. But there's some common errors that always occur, and I want to address that. I will try and remember tonight to post a sample reference page for you. I think that there is one in the on the resources on Blackboard, but I'll look to see if I have another sample one for you. On the reference page, you need to make sure that the margin on that is the same as every other page. I think it's 1.5 inches down from the top. And your references are going to be in a hanging indent. And by what they mean by that is your entry is all the way to the left, and then if you need to have a second line on that entry, it's indented on the second line. The other biggest error that I find on APA reference pages is that you are only supposed to capitalize the first word in every title. And I know that goes against the grain of everything we've learned and what we teach our students, but that is the APA formula. So when you put in your title, only capitalize the first word in the title. When you're doing in-text citations, you need to put the author and the date. You only need to include the date the first time you reference it in that paragraph. For each succeeding paragraph, you still put the same author and date. You do not need to include page numbers unless you are quoting unless you are making a direct quote with the quotation marks. If you're only paraphrasing, you do not use page numbers. Let's see what else. The running head must have the words running head. You only capitalize the word running and the word head, but it says running head, colon, and then the rest of your title is in caps. The page number follows all the way to the right-hand side of the page. Only first words or important words are capitalized for the rest of the title page. A few of you turned in title pages all in caps. Don't do everything in caps, just the regular capitalization that you would use any other time. Some of you used headings on your paper, and headings are great. You can find the information about headings on page 62 in the manual. Most of you are using level 1 headings, and what I saw in a couple of papers is you started with a bolded, centered, bold-faced, uppercase and lowercase heading, like a newspaper headline. That's what a level 1 heading is. And those are centered. Some of you started with a centered and then went to a level 2 heading, which are flush left. Boldface, also uppercase and lowercase heading. However, you weren't really using a heading within a heading. A level 2 heading is a subheading to a level 1 heading. So if you are just putting headings into the parts of your paper that are on the rubric, stick all with one level 1 heading, and those are going to be centered on the page. So check page 62 in the manual for that. I think those are the main issues that I saw across the board. I will put feedback on the rubric for your assignment. So when I score it, there will be comments made. Please make sure that you read those before your next assignment, because you're going to be asked to do those citations for every discussion board assignment you put in. They're all going to look the same, but I kind of know when you haven't listened to this part of the video, because people will continue to put those citations in incorrectly. So please make sure that you look at my feedback. Okay, another thing I need you to put on your calendar. You'll notice in one of the weeks your assignment for that week is to have a library orientation. That orientation is going to occur on Monday, March 20th. That's a week from this Monday. You will log in, and all the directions will be posted on Blackboard. You will log in prior to 7 o'clock. The orientation runs from 7 to 7:45. This is a requirement. It is not optional. You get a grade for it, and you must attend a library orientation. If you have already plans for that night that you just cannot change, then please email me. We try and do a makeup. I don't do these. These are done live on campus, but she usually offers a makeup day. But I do log in on that night, and I log in and check off to see who has checked in. So please make a note on your calendar. Again, it's Monday, March 20th from 7 to 7:45. All right. Also, I want to tell you that I have put you in groups for your week 3 assignment, and I will email that out to you this week if it hasn't already gone out. I don't know if it goes out automatically or if I have to set that. But your groups are formed. Largely, they're formed randomly. I had a couple of teachers that requested to be together because they're in this course together from the same school site. But other than that, it's pretty random. It doesn't matter what grade levels you teach or where you are in order to complete this assignment, so you won't have any problem with that. For this week, I do want to make sure that I let you know, if you want to see the actual directions for the assignment, if you haven't discovered this yet, under submit assignments, there's a button on the left side on Blackboard that says submit assignments, and if you go in there, you'll see a place where you can click here for directions, and that will pull up the actual directions for the assignment. Those directions are also in your syllabus, as are I don't think the rubric actually is in your syllabus, but the rubric is online, so you can see that in the same place. You can click for the directions and you can click for the rubric. So make sure that you look at those carefully. I would recommend this week that you begin by reading chapters 3 and 4. There's a graphic organizer provided for you to organize your ideas and to become familiar with the historical and psychological foundations of curriculum. This is important background for you, so this will lead you into that discussion board assignment. You are to pick one area of focus from either one of the chapters, and then also choose a scholarly article which equates to something published within the last 5 years, and present a brief literature analysis. Then share with your classmates any takeaways or classroom or curriculum implications that you've gleaned from this task. Be sure to include your in-text citations and to use this as an opportunity to paraphrase. The literature analysis should also still reflect your voice and writing style, so avoid relying too heavy on the use of direct quotations. So again, if you use direct quotations, you need that page number in your citation, but if you're paraphrasing, you do not need the direct quotes. You're going to also, again, provide an APA style reference. I will put up a couple of links on the Blackboard that might help you choose your scholarly articles as well. Some of the chapter headings from chapter 3 that you might want to look at would be the kindergarten movement, Moreland intellectual development, the Committee of 10, that was kind of an interesting one, vocational education, CTE, Dewey and the hierarchy of subjects, efficiency of schools, Kilpatrick and the curriculum enrichment, and Tyler's basic concepts. So all of those are historical perspectives, things that have influenced our educational system. So as you're picking from those, you might want to look at the table on page 85 and 86. It's table 3.4, and it gives you an overview of those curriculum theorists. In chapter 4, you're going to find some ideas on behavioralism. Again, that's on page 105. That's actually, I think, in chapter 5, but you'll see some instructional components listed there. Marzano, cognitive psychology, Montessori, Piaget, Bloom, Vygotsky, multiple intelligences, all of those are topics that you might find of interest there. And again, I'll post some possible sources for articles. Looking ahead to week 3, you want to be in contact with one another probably this week. Focus on an obstacle or challenge that students might or do face in the school. This can be limited to a classroom challenge or obstacle or a school-wide one. And I will go into greater detail about your slides that are due that week, but you're basically going to make a title slide and slide with your obstacle, a slide about character or moral education, 3 slides on that topic, And then the activity or assignment that you're going to give students, that's about 4 slides. Proactive steps, anticipated outcomes, intended goals, 1 quote, and again a reference page. So I'll put up some additional sources for information for that as well. You can also check Google Scholar for some ideas. So I'm talking quickly because the videos will only last for so long, and you're probably only willing to listen for so long. So your assignment again is the graphic organizer, and your discussion board is to choose, analyze, and share from chapters 3 or 4. So as always, feel free to contact me if you have questions. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week, and I should have your grades up and posted probably by midweek. Okay, see you next week.